Welcome back to another video. It is Saturday, it is week 4. So normally, I've said this before, I run 5-week blocks, but to make things line up for comp, which is the second weekend of June, I've had to run a 4-week block this time, and then my next 2 blocks will both be 5 weeks. So that means it is the heaviest squats and bench of the block. I feel really excited because I know that I'm going to be hitting PBs and I know it's going to go well. Like, what is on the plan is going to happen. But if you've watched last video, you know I had a bit of a cold. After that Wednesday session, I feel like I've just been hit by a ton of bricks. I have been so unwell Thursday and Friday. I do feel mildly better today. I think because I didn't have to get up in time for anything this morning. I actually had a bit of a lay-in. I got a much better night's sleep last night, but I am so disgustingly bunged up. I think I had a bit of a temperature yesterday as well. I had all the symptoms and stuff, and like my focus and concentration has been terrible. So to the point where I was actually considering, if I felt rough today, pushing the session back to tomorrow and doing it on Sunday instead. But I feel considerably better, and I'm going to go in with a positive attitude because I feel like I'm ready to do the session. Like, I feel like it's going to go fine. So I'm going to go into my parents'. I've just arrived. It's like 2:30, but I'm not going to train for a few hours yet. I'll probably have another meal at like 4 and then let that digest for a couple of hours, and I'll probably train like 6, half 6-ish, because I really don't want to train yet. And it's also quite warm today, so I want to let it get a bit cooler, because I feel like if my temperature and stuff isn't regulating like normal, training in the heat is probably going to make me feel even worse. So I'm going to wait for it to cool down a little bit here too. But yeah, going to stop rambling, going to go in, chill out for a bit before I train. Okay, so excuse the state of me. Right, I have just finished squats. So, mentioned at the start of the video, I have been horrendously ill. I put off training today, mostly so I could just get extra food in my system for a bit of extra energy, but also just because I was hoping that I'd kind of feel a little bit better as the day went on, potentially have a nap if I needed one. Turns out I didn't. But to be honest, I actually felt worse as the evening went on, so that backfired massively. But it doesn't matter. So, plan for today for squats was 162.5 for a top set of 5. So I mentioned in the last video, through my off season, I was kind of repeating the same 3-block cycle, and each time when I got back to the beginning, it'd be like a 5 kilo rep PB on my squats, or like whatever it was. So I'd add 5 kilos onto whatever I did 3 blocks previous. Can't get my words out. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. But because we're getting closer to comp, and because last block I went kind of close to max effort, if not max effort, on that final week where I did my 170 triple and then 185 for a single. The 170 triple probably wasn't max effort, but the 185 single definitely was. So because of that, I was only going to add 2.5 to my rep PBs from now on, and kind of just gradually build things 2.5 kilos at a time to just continue progressing and not push too crazy into comp. But I sat there the other day after my Wednesday session that went incredibly well, where I squatted 152 for 7 incredibly comfortably. I was like, I think that was out of fear that I only planned to go up 2.5 at a time. Like, I think that was just a nervousness. So I basically just thought to myself earlier, I was like, why don't I just do 165 for 5? Like, I can do it. I know I can do it. It's just a matter of telling this that I can do it and believing it and being willing to put in the work, which is something I talk about quite frequently. Like, the key to being a good squatter, or on any of the lists, but especially I think squats, is being willing to put in the work. And this week especially, I've really felt willing to, even though I felt like I was going to die the last couple of days. When I say that, I'm obviously exaggerating, but I have felt like, I know it's just a cold, but it's been rough. So yeah, considering that, and the point where I was going to potentially move this session back a day, which I never would normally do, I still believed I could do 165 for 5. So I loaded it. I thought, 2.5 kilos, I'm not going to feel the difference between 162 and 165. Realistically, yes, 162 probably would have moved smoother, and the 165 was hard. But I mean, I literally feel like shit. My belt wasn't on right. I also, TMI, but that's what this channel's for, right? I peed a lot more than I normally do. Occasionally I get a tiny bit, but it's not something that I very regularly do. I always have a pad in case. But you'll see on the 3rd rep, I looked down. Wouldn't normally do that, especially because I have major neck issues. Anytime I have the bar on my back, I have to be quite careful where I move my neck. But basically, I was worried that I peed on the floor. I hadn't. It was fine. It wasn't that bad. I think it just, in the moment, felt worse because I'm not used to it. So considering my belt was in the wrong place, it wasn't comfortable either. It was digging in a bit too much because I'm quite bloated today. I was distracted by the fact that I was peeing. And I've been really ill. I just got 165 for 5. Now, I did 180 after. So when I finished the 165 for 5, obviously it was hard. That's fine. It's meant to be. It's the final week of the block. Also, this block is a week shorter than normal. So I think if I had my normal 5 weeks to build that momentum, that would have probably moved better, because week 4 is never a good squat week for me. Yeah, no, I finished the set and I went quite like shaky, and I think that's just because I've been ill, which is why I'm not doing any back off sets. But I needed to get the 180 done. Like, I needed to squat 180, because in my mind I'm like, if I can squat 180 after that set of 5, I can squat 180 at any given time, which, to be fair, I've never failed 180. I think I've squatted it 4 or 5 times now, probably 5, and every time it's been absolutely fine. I've literally not missed it. I've been fine. Walking it out, it felt heavy as hell on my back, but that's a normal thing with me in fatigue singles, especially when I'm under this much extra fatigue. Like, yeah, I'm really happy. But I'm not going to do back offs, because I think that will definitely make me more ill, because I think the reason I've been so unwell the last few days, I've had a lingering cold for a few weeks, as I mentioned in a previous video. But I think because I pushed so hard on Wednesday with my deadlifts and stuff, I think, well, squats, bench and deadlifts were all relatively heavy. Well, maybe not bench, rambling. Squats and deadlifts, though, were pretty heavy on Wednesday. And I think because I pushed those, that's why I then felt really ill. Like, I was up most of Wednesday night just coughing and couldn't sleep. And then Thursday, I could barely concentrate. I just felt really ill. Friday, I felt even worse. I had a temperature and stuff, and I've barely been sleeping. I think I mentioned earlier, like last night I had better sleep, so I feel a bit better today, but still not great. And I think that is just because I pushed so hard on Wednesday that my body was like, whoa, like, please take it easy. So all of that, story time, to say I'm not going to do any back offs today. I'm going to just leave it there. So I squatted 165 for 5, which I'm so over the moon with. And then 180 for 1 after, which was slower than I want it to be, but also it was a really good confidence boost. If I can do that, there's no reason why I can't squat 180 as like a second attempt, quite like comfortably at comp. Not that I know what my attempts are going to be yet, I'm just kind of thinking about it. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. Going to move on to bench. Got top single. That is the lift that is most affected when I'm ill, but also I feel like it's been going so well this block that I'm not even worried. I'm going to just take what's there. I'm really excited to see what's there, to be fair. Hoping minimum 115, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, gonna stop talking and get my knee sleeves off for a start and set up the bench. Okay, so I survived the session. I'm not feeling great now it's done, to be fair, but I feel okay. Like, I don't feel anywhere near as bad as I did at the end of the session on Wednesday night. Like, by the end of Wednesday's session, I was definitely a bit, like, kind of lightheaded and just didn't quite feel right, and like my ears didn't quite feel right and stuff. So feeling much better than I did at the end of Wednesday's session. So hopefully, because I was a bit more sensible about like back offs and stuff, so like I didn't do my back off sets on squats. Although, to be fair, at the end of the block I sometimes only do 1 or 2 sets depending on fatigue levels and stuff. So I'm not too upset that I didn't do them. I also think I made the right call, just because I think as well, like, energy reserves are obviously lower when you're ill, and bench probably wouldn't have gone as well if I'd have really pushed on squats as well. Or squat back offs, I definitely pushed my top sets. Rambling. So, bench recap. I'm really happy. My singles weren't amazing. 110 felt really good. I was trying to treat it sort of like comp day, so in my mind it was like, oh well, 110 can be my opener. If it feels good, I'll jump to 115. Then if it feels good, I'll jump to 120. If not, I'll do 117. So that's exactly what I did. So 110 felt really good. Pause probably could have been longer, but I find it so hard to know how long to pause when I'm not getting press commands. But yeah, the 110 felt really good. The 115 did feel hard, I'm not going to lie. It didn't feel great, and it was a little bit slow when I watched it back as well, which is why I then only went to 117, which was so slow. Well, I say so slow, it just wasn't brilliantly done. There was definitely downward motion, like it wouldn't have passed in comp. Wouldn't be surprised if my butt came up a little bit. I haven't looked from this angle yet, so who knows. But I'm happy with it. So like, I benched 117 on a day where I am incredibly ill, it's a cold. You get the point. On a day that I'm ill, I'm under the weather. I've already done a really heavy top set of squats, followed by a fatigue single where I was definitely under a lot of fatigue. And then, yeah, I benched 117. Like, 117 on a bad day is great. And then, to make things even better, I had back off 5s. So last week, I think I did 2 sets of 5 at 105, which I was over the moon with. To bench 105 for 5 for just 1 set, I was so over the moon with. But I managed to do it for 2 sets last week, I think, if I remember rightly. And then I dropped and did 2 sets at 102.5 for 5, which 102.5 for 5 is still very good for me. So yeah, was really happy last week. And then this week I ended up loading 107.5 for my first set, basically thinking to myself, if you don't try, hit 107.5 for 5, you're not going to know. Like, no matter what you load, whether it's 105 or 107.5, it's going to feel difficult. So why not just load the 107, see how it goes, worst case, what you miss a rep. Like, it's not the end of the world. And that's the mindset I kind of went in with. And yeah, I got 107.5 for 5. Then I dropped 105 after that for 2 sets of 5, and then I did 102.5 for 1 set of 5. So I guess if you average it out, it was like doing 4 sets at 105. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with that. I think the highlight is probably the 107.5 for 5, to be fair. Like, my bench rep work at the moment is like skyrocketing, and I know that will transfer over to my singles. I've just got to be patient and just kind of keep chipping away. So yeah, I'm really happy. I feel like the start of this block was when I was going through that big mental thing of, I don't know if I should have ended this comp, I'm not going to be as good as I want to be, I'm not going to be as strong as I think I should be, I'm going to have taken this massive long off season to come back and hardly have improved my total. Like, I was full of self-doubt at the start of this block, and this last week I have massively snapped out of that, and I feel like my progress is skyrocketing once again. So yeah, I'm really happy. I just need to keep this going, basically. So this is the end of block 1 of my kind of road to comp. So I've got 2 blocks left, 2 5-week blocks left. Structure of my training is not going to be changing much. It's working, why change it? Especially because, like, this comp in June, it's the English National, so it is a national level comp, but it's the British National that is the important one, and that's in November. That's where the top lifters are going to be there. I have no idea who's entered this one in June, and I probably won't know until about 4 weeks out or 5 weeks out when entries close, depends when they release the list. Normally you can see who has entered, but there's not a link to be able to do that for this one. So I'm just kind of going in a way. I think it's probably a good thing that I don't know who's entered. I would like to know, because I'm just interested in who I'll be competing with, and I like to know people that I compete with because it's just nice and makes it a more like fun day. But in a way it's good for me because I can't compare, I try not to compare, but obviously everyone does it. So yeah, I think not knowing who's entered at the moment is actually probably a good thing. I haven't really asked about either. Like, if someone tells me they've entered, then I'll know, but yeah, at the minute I don't know anyone that's entered, so I guess we'll see. The 84s are never a really full class at the English anyway. I hope there's some competition though. I would like to at least have a little bit of pressure to do well, I guess. Not too much pressure. But yeah, I'd like to maybe have a little bit of a battle, but I guess we'll see. I don't really know what other 84s are close to where I'm at. So yeah, I'm just kind of rambling. Basically, 2 5-week blocks to go, and I am feeling incredibly confident, especially because like this week, like I say, I've been ill. It's been a week shorter than normal this block, and normally my week 4, especially squats, don't feel fantastic. So to hit a PB on week 4, I mean, I've paced the block differently because of the fact it's a 4-week block rather than 5, which so I'm not really going to use that as an excuse to be like, oh, I definitely could have done more next week. But no, I'm really happy with how this block's gone. So I've got 2 5-week blocks left, kind of just rambling now. But I feel confident I can keep hitting PBs through, and I can definitely dial in more. So I was really dialed in. To be honest, I'm dialed in year round. Like, I am very proud of the fact, and I pride myself in how dialed in I stay. And when I do slip up, it's literally like I don't quite hit my macros for a few days. I'll go maybe slightly over, slightly under, which normally balances itself out anyway. But this week I have kind of said to myself, look, you are unwell. You don't need to hit your macros perfectly. Just kind of go with how you feel. I had a few days where my appetite was really low, so I tracked those days to make sure that I hit my minimum calorie, or like, well, my daily target of calories, so 2,300. Because I think if I didn't track, I probably would have gone severely under, which I know wouldn't have helped me for today. And then I think yesterday I went over by quite a lot, just because, well, I ended up getting a takeaway on the walk home, because it was quite late, and I just kind of fancied something greasy, which, when you're ill, probably not the best thing, because it's not going to make you feel better. But then I made sure to have prepped meals for like my lunch and stuff, that were just full of like salad and nutrients to try and help me feel a bit better. I'm rambling. Basically what I'm trying to say is there is room to dial in more. So if I can hit these numbers today and have the progress I've had this block without being 100% dialed in, what's going to happen now that I am more dialed in? I think between now and comp, I've got 1 meal out planned, which is like a family birthday, that I think lands on week 4 of this next block. But I'm going to stay dialed in now until then. I'll have that 1 meal with my family, but I'll still obviously stay dialed in every other aspect. My steps and stuff this last week until I got ill were a lot better. I'm going to make sure I keep going for long walks on like my 4 rest days. And yeah, I'm just excited. I don't know where my body weight's sat. It was sitting low 87s up until 2 days ago. I stopped weighing myself because I was like, why am I stressing about my weight when I'm so like ill? I need to just focus on getting healthy, and I'll worry about my weight after. That's the privilege of being ill so far out from comp. Normally it's just before comp that I get ill. Also praying that I don't get unwell again between now and comp. It seems to be literally like every other block I just get ill. Hoping that doesn't happen anymore, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say. I'm really just rambling. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, very excited for the next 2 blocks. I feel like if I can keep this confidence, comp will go incredibly well. I just need to not let that self-doubt creep in, and yeah, just keep channeling this. Whatever is going on in my mind right now, I need to just keep going with. I think it's such an important lesson for anyone. Like, you are only ever going to be as strong as you believe that you are. And like, especially, I think squats, like I said earlier, the main one that you really have to have that confidence when you're under the bar. Like, that weight is going to feel heavy, but you've just got to believe that you can do it. And I've always been decent at doing that in like off seasons and stuff, but when it gets closer to comp is when I start to then worry and feel like I can't do things. But I'm also very aware that the numbers I'm hitting, I'm still not okay with. Like, I still want a lot more, and I need a lot more if I want to get to the level I want to get to. So I think I'm also just reminding myself that these weights are just stepping stones. I need to just keep hitting them, push through, and I will get there. And like, the progress I've made in this off season, like I've said before, has been incredible. And now we're getting closer to comp. I just need to keep that momentum going, and I know that I can. I don't even necessarily need to hit PBs on comp day. Like, my PBs currently, I'd be happy walking away with those on the platform. Maybe slightly more on deadlift after how well they went this week, but yeah, I'm rambling. I'm going to wrap this video up here. In next week's videos, I will do more of a Q&A, especially in Fridays. So that'll be my next video up. I've got some questions from Instagram from a Q&A box I put up the other day, but if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'd like to do more like talking segments and stuff, try and make it a bit more interesting than me just sitting here at the end of my session, procrastinating, driving home. But yeah, any questions, leave them down below. I've got some other stuff to talk through. One topic that I really want to talk about is losing weight and not losing strength. So that's something that someone asked me, because I have in the past cut quite a lot of weight and still managed to get stronger at the time, and I don't really buy into the whole if you lose weight you're going to lose strength thing. Obviously extreme cases, yes you will, but that's something I want to talk about probably in the next video. But yeah, any other questions, please leave them down below and I'll be sure to answer them either in the next video or the one after. In my lighter weeks, I'll make sure to do more Q&As and stuff just to get some more information in these and make them a bit more interesting. But yeah, if you've made it this far, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you on Friday for the next one.